So a new Lord of the Rings video game will arrive on May the 10th, and their biggest selling points are a stylized realism art style and a more diverse and inclusive Middle-earth. Uh-huh. Wes, how min friend, and welcome to yet another video, and this is precisely and exactly that kind of nonsense that I've been talking about for the longest time, actually. The fact that we don't really need, as people like to say, more Tolkien content, because all that we can get is just garbage entertainment that is only suitable for being in a dumpster, in a trash can, in a dustbin, my dear friends. Please look at the screen. The Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth arrives May the 10th. EA also dropped the first free-to-play mobile game's its first real trailer. So, the matter at hand and the game in question here is a mobile game based on, the Lord of the Rings, where you can play some of the characters as well as other characters. I suppose it'll be original characters. Now, I've been talking about adaptations for the longest time here, and I've been venturing into Peter Jackson's trilogy. I've been venturing into the abhorrent The Rings of Power, which isn't even an adaptation. I have talked about Ralph Bakshi. I've talked about games and such. And if you've been following my channel for quite some time, you know that really I don't need any adaptations. Just give me the books, and that's all I need. If I want to play a good fantasy video game, I will go for Elder Scrolls. I will buy Elden Ring. I will buy any other fantasy video game that is good and has got its own original story that does not really draw from any source material at all. Now, some of you might say that, oh yes, The Lord of the Rings, whatever online was good, or The Shadow of Mordor or something. I don't know, I'm not that much of a gamer. I don't play that many video games. I couldn't care less in this case. And I have received some comments about this because I talked about it in one video a long time ago about this particular mobile game that, well, people really don't care about mobile games. Where some of them do, I see people outside playing mobile games on their phones all the time, so I suppose some people are going to do that. But just really, do we really need this? Do we really need another B to Z grade mobile game where you will be, collecting gems and fighting orcs here and there? And if you watch the trailer, and please watch it for yourselves, it will be on this page. I will put a link in the description down below. I do not want to risk getting copyright strike by EA or Embrace. It's not really worth it for one video. It just looks as, it with really like any other mobile video game. Nothing special. And what could you really do? What else did you expect from this? And otherwise, just let us read this short snippet from Engadget.com to see what really is in the core of all this, and it's going to be basically like the Rings of Power, I would say, only on your mobile phones. EA will release the mobile free-to-play The Lord of the Rings, The Heroes of Middle-earth on May the 10th, marking its first Lord of the Rings game since 2009's The Lord of the Rings Conquest. It's also unveiled the first real trailer, showing gameplay menus and more. It's one of the 5 Lord of the Rings games currently in development from Embrace. 5 Lord of the Rings games. Now, people who are all about more Lord of the Rings content are going to be absolutely excited about it. But so far, from what you have seen, the very, very badly looking Gollum and this, now, are you really expecting anything good? Which bought the rights last year, including the much-anticipated Lord of the Rings Gollum, said to arrive shortly afterwards. The trailer features a stylized realism art style, EA wrote, leaning into existing lore with wanderers, warriors, wizards, and other classic Lord of the Rings characters. At the same time, it creates a more diverse and inclusive Middle-earth, the company said, while showing off story, PvP, and other gameplay modes. One more thing, another thing I've been talking about for the longest time here on this channel, and even before that, the Middle-earth, the Lord of the Rings, the world of Arda that Tolkien created. The world of Arda that Tolkien started creating in the ditches of the First World War when he started writing The Book of Lost Tales, which then became the Silmarillion, and that allowed him then to expand upon his own world with the different languages and the historical forms of his artificial languages and the peoples of Middle-earth that then spoke those languages, like elves and dwarves and wizards and ents and hobbits. It has always been as inclusive as possible. Everybody was able to buy the books and enjoy them. And then when adaptations started to be made, everybody was able to go and watch those adaptations and enjoy them. Nobody was excluded. I have never encountered in my entire life somebody saying that a group of people cannot enjoy Middle-earth because whatever reason. No. It is 100% escapist fantasy story. It is nothing else. Tolkien himself, he abhorred allegory. He only wrote it because he loved artificial languages that he created. He loved myths and legends. He wanted to provide England with his own mythology. He wanted to write a long narrative for the common reader. He wanted to write a fairy story, and he wrote it, and he excelled at it. And since the publication of The Hobbit, his stories have grasped the attentions of millions of readers all around the world. We don't need you, Embracer. We don't need you, EA or whatever, whoever you are, to bring us your free-to-play mobile game that will allow us to be included with, well, sort of, you self-centered pieces of donkey manure. Alright, but let us continue. Heroes of Middle-earth includes characters from both The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, along with collection systems, turn-based combat, and more. In a previous news release, EA said that players will experience iconic stories from the world of Tolkien and take up the fight against the great evils of Middle-earth. Given the free-to-play aspect, there are, of course, microtransactions. Oh, right then, yeah. So, for example, I don't know, I have absolutely no idea what that is. Yes, I know. For example, you want to buy, like, an arrow, so you'll have to pay, like, $10, right? Well, sort of. But, I have no experience with mobile games, so, I couldn't care less. Heroes of Middle-earth is set to arrive on iOS and Android on May the 10th with a pre-registration now open. Meanwhile, Lord of the Rings Gollum will launch on consoles and PC May the 25th. And Embracer reportedly has 3 additional titles in development for the next 2 years. I'm not going to get any of these games. I'm not going to give my precious time to even considering buying them. Alright then, let me know in the comments down below what you think. That'll be all. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm out of here.